Thanks for staying on with us. My name is Ibrahim Sani. This is The Economy. The Prime Minister is going to make the announcement on Belanjawan 2025 of Budget 2025 in very, very soon. In fact, we are all very excited to learn more about what is in store for us for this third time of the Madani budget. But there's a few other concerning matters that we need to unearth. Most importantly, in terms of how are we going to finance the items that has been already listed to be expensed, including the increase of the civil servants' pay, including some of the other expenses that is going to be needed to be addressed, and the savings, whether or not that's enough. So these are the kind of items that we need to unearth in the next few hours before the budget is going to be announced. But within us, we have one very interesting guest. His name is, of course, Huzaimi Hamid, the chairman of Ingenium Advisors. Welcome to the show, Huzaimi. I want to learn more about what you think of the budget. This is because a few weeks ago, you wrote a very interesting piece in the Edge. Most importantly, you're trying to outline some of the things that could be had, or some of the wish lists that you think is important. Things like tax breaks or tax holiday, I would call it. Instead of paying a 25% payable tax, maybe you can give us 5% off for the next 3 years or something like that. And then, of course, you were talking about cost of living pressures that is increasing. Subsidy, you made the correlation between diesel subsidy being removed, is resulting in transportation and logistic costs increasing. Therefore, the knock-on effect is cost of prices are increasing ever so slightly. This is the thing, right? Macroeconomic data shows inflation rate maintaining steady. The US is so much as cutting rates to signal that inflation is managed well there. Globally, we are expecting a few other central banks cutting rates or anticipation of cutting rates. Malaysia is holding steady for now, but that's not the point. The point here is, are the cost of living increases real? Especially when it comes to macro data telling it otherwise. And if it's real, then we can move on to that whole topic of how do we increase the wallet size or disposable income of people. Zaimi.
Yes, it's very real. I was with one of my contractors yesterday. I was fixing my porch roof, and he says that, number one, building material costs have gone up 40%. That makes it impossible for him to actually keep stock in his stores. It's just too expensive. Number two, I've been trying to fix my porch for 3 years. I contacted 6 roofing contractors. They're all out of business. The thing that one has to be aware of about our CPI is that 1/3 of the weightage consists of price-controlled items. Unless the government moves them, they don't move. So you have a muted effect on inflation. You can't really see it. But if you go towards individual items, we have problems with chicken, with rice, with onions. That hits us in the pocket really hard.
Where do you see the government's direction is when it comes to managing cost of living and rising costs? Do you feel that the government is heading in the right direction?
Generally, the only 2 ways you can manage costs like this. Once you fix prices, but any economist will tell you, if you fix a price lower than market clearing price, you cannot get supply. Nobody's going to sell anything to you. So that's not going to work. Okay. The other way is to actually help the people, give them extra money. Here, there's a trap. One of the traps is to try to force businesses to pay their workers more. This costs businesses. And businesses have been more or less obliterated because of the MCO lockdowns for 2 years. Expenses went on, zero revenue, really nothing left in the bank. And now you want to raise their costs. On top of which, ringgit fell through the floor, raising import costs, and comparatively, while imported things have gone up in price, local made substitutes also went up in price in competition, mainly because of input price increases.
But ringgit is the best performing currency in the world against the US.
For now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that means ringgit drops in value for then, increases in value for now. That's how prices work.
Yes, correct.
So
Problem
you can't
is-
blame the government for ringgit increases, ringgit devaluing. At the same time, you can't actually, I guess, applaud the government for the ringgit increasing. You know,
Yes,
it's a two item that is uncorrelated to another.
Actually, the big question is why aren't we managing the ringgit better to keep it stable? That's all business want. Stability. We have so much volatility in the ringgit, it scares people. So if you want to come in as an investor, you're earning in ringgit, what's your ringgit worth if your HQ is in US dollars? So what really happened was interest rate differentials. US raised its interest rates to fight this inflation. Malaysia's inflation didn't really show CPI, fixed prices. So we didn't do anything. Interest rate differentials went this way, US dollar went this way, ringgit went that way. Recently, the US thought that they could bring down interest rates, which they did. So ringgit went up, dollar went down. It's pure market action. Where is the stabilizing force?
Where do you see the stabilizing force come from?
Oh, it's got to come from the central bank. Every central bank.
But then the government doesn't control the central bank.
The government, this is a topic of central bank independence. There is no control, but the pure definition of central bank independence is the political side of the government does not force the central banks to do things for political purposes. For instance, it forces the central bank to issue a lot of money out to meet political objectives. So the central bank is independent of that. But this is a case of something that is of national importance. Keep the ringgit stable. We didn't see any interest rate increases up or down. Every other country, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, moved their interest rates. Singapore even. Singapore is slightly out of the picture because they manage things not through interest rates, it's actually through their currency. And now they have managed to make it the most expensive country in the world to live in.
Yeah, which is negative for them. I just had a few meetings with a few investors. Korean investors, for instance, they are into the gaming industry. They want to set up shop. They feel that Malaysia has plenty to offer. Diverse culture, ability for them to accept Korean culture, ability and Korean food, Korean pop culture and the likes. High, widespread use of English. And the last bit, which is stable political landscape now. So that is something that I find interesting. Do you agree with these kind of assessments, say for instance, of people coming in?
Yeah, that's quite correct.
I guess the first three is undebatable, but that political premium, is it now reduced?
Well, let's look at it from the last election, 16th general election. Was it 15th general election?
Yeah,
how many governments?
Yeah, 15, yeah.
How many governments have we had? We've had Muhyiddin, we've had Ismail Sabri, well, before that Mahathir, of course. Now we have Anwar Ibrahim. That's 4 governments from basically 2020. It's 2024, one government a year. Now, the problem with being a foreign investor in a country whose government changes so much is policy continuity. You're pouring $1 billion in, say. Can you get your $1 billion out? Chances not, because you're buying a building, land, paying workers, importing stuff, importing machinery. You can flee with your suitcase. How are you going to carry a 10-ton piece of machinery with you?
Yeah, we understand that. That's what, by definition, that's what a political premium is, a political risk premium is. The question is, do you feel that that is being mitigated now? Do you feel that this government is stable?
I feel that the political scene is stable in the sense that we have not had to call a general election so far. That's good. But having some knowledge of political workings in this country, I would say that under the surface there's a lot changing. And that think about a lot changing can bubble over and spark another crisis of leaders.
Like
and
what?
leadership.
What is the underlying currents right now?
Well, let's look at the former Barisan Nasional. MCA, MIC, very quiet, almost not there. UMNO, they have their general elections at the end of this year, don't they? What happens if it changes? You got 6 very strong leaders out of the party now. What if someone in there challenges for presidency and he brings the 6 back? Will they remain with the Pakatan government or will they move out? Then you're going to have a parliament that's almost close to being hung. Not really hung, but very close. Passing anything during that time will be very difficult. Yeah, that's the undercurrent right now.
What about the status of our opposition? What's your view on them?
Okay, the opposition at the moment, my personal view, is that they need a manifesto, a reason for being. You could say that we are striving, kami berjuang. What are you fighting for? Let us know. What do you stand for? Republicans in the US, basically what they stand for is good businesses, great economy. The Democrats, what they stand for is social justice, helping poor people. That's what they do. So you can see those things immediately. What is it in Malaysia? It used to be race-lined. Barisan Nasional, the Malaysia UMNO, Chinese MCA, MIC. Then you had PKR come in. Interestingly, PKR opened its doors to all races. That created a balance which just threw the old balances out of whack. I actually opined a long time ago to one of the advisors of the Prime Minister then. He asked me, who's the party of the future? I said PKR. Very surprised. I mean,
well, they're a national party right now.
Yes.
They're fighting for social justice.
yes, exactly. Why were they so strong back then? They listened to everybody. It doesn't matter whether it's Chinese, Malay, Indian, you're in.
But PAS is also very strong. In fact, one would argue the 2 stronger parties are DAP and PAS because they tend to win everything they contest in.
This is exactly with MAGA in the US. You're a voter. You're unsure of the future. You get a bit scared. What do? Go back to what you know best. You go to PAS, you go to DAP, you go to Republicans. The Germans and Austrians have been voting for parties that were set up by Nazis. They too are scared of the future. So what is the future? That's the thing that politicians have to convey. And for business people, we need to know what it is that you want to bring to the general scene. I mean, it's great we have 350 billion or so investments pledging to come into the country. Question is, can you land them? 1. 2, what are they spending on Malaysia? Because if you're talking for a big plant, he may just come, lease the land, bring in 100 billion ringgit worth of machinery from overseas, and says we have met our investment target. What's the point of that? Marginal. And this famous case of, I think it was Foxconn, they get $11 per iPhone 4 at that time, memory serves. iPhone 4 was selling at about $700. And Foxconn, who built those phones, gets $11 per unit. Yeah, so you have to look at the value.
Value chain, actually, if I would like to argue.
Absolutely.
And how are we moving up the value chain? You don't feel that we're moving up the value chain when it comes to FDI?
One of the things that I've been busy with in the past, I've been an economist for about 35 years, is trying to see whether one value chain, has it improved Malaysian industries? We're talking about adding
And the
into
conclusion that you have arrived?
Not happening.
Not even across, say, critical sectors, so it's a broad general crop spending?
Broad general.
Any sectors that we're doing well in your opinion? in moving up the value chain? Maybe E&E, where,
Food.
you know, food.
Food. I was at MAHA, Malaysia Agricultural, Horticultural,
Yeah, a few weeks
Agrotourism.
ago, actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's huge. I think you could fit Perlis inside there. That's how big it was.
I think you just offended Perlis right now, but never mind.
Sorry, guys.
Don't worry, there's 3 people there anyway.
I'm married to a Kadahan, so it's okay. So the thing is this. I expected to see agricultural products, fertilizers, etc.
Okay.
Basically, you want, I will sell you
The
seeds,
end product lah, huh?
seeds for planting your paddy.
Yeah, fertilizer, whatever.
What did I see? Food products, packaged, branded, built up, downstream stuff. Crepe, you can buy all sorts of little condiments.
Yeah. And in packaging that is varying sizes. I've been there, I went there too.
Yeah.
I was surprised and ready to go. Global markets, no problem.
I talked to quite a lot of these people. The one thing they kept asking me is, what is the program for them by the government to protect their industries, to make sure they can grow in this country? And here we go into one of the points that I made in the Edge article, tariff protection. Our tariff, according to World Bank, is 3.6%. Okay, remember that number? Tariffs done by developed countries today, when they were developing, according to this economist called Bayroch, 1993, was anywhere between 20 to 100%. So they got protected. Don't believe the 100%? Check out recently, the US slapped China's electric vehicles with 100% tariff. This is the fun part. Even after the tariff, the price of those Chinese vehicles were lower than American one. Tesla was going through the roof. They couldn't believe it. Big question in world trade is, if China can make these products, same quality as developed countries at half the price, why aren't we quoting China?
Okay.
The world has an inflation problem.
Yeah.
Get Chinese goods.
We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with Uzaimi, particularly on budget 2025. Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me in the studio Huzaimi Hamid, the chairman of Ingenium Advisors. Very quickly now, Huzaimi, the budget is going to be presented tomorrow.
Yep.
We want to learn more about what you are looking for specifically. I mean, forget about the macro stuff. You specifically, what are you looking for?
What am I looking for? I am looking for... Oh boy, this is going to be tough.
5 minutes, Huzaimi. You got 5 minutes. Let's do this.
Okay, simply, here's the question. Government keeps raising taxes. You name it, they raise it. Why aren't they cutting expenses? For years, we've been hearing stories of overspending, wastage, leakage. Just out of the pandemic, what happens? Increase in civil service wages. Our debt to GDP is at the statutory limit, 67%. Which is why we had to raise taxes. But individuals, like I said earlier, no money. Businesses, tottering.
Yeah, but you mentioned in your article in The Edge a few weeks ago, private consumption needs to increase as well.
No. Private consumption is 60% of GDP. If you cut income taxes by 5%, it's just a holiday. It will boost private consumption.
Oh, so that's what you're looking for?
That's what
income tax holiday.
Number two, what are you doing with retirement monies? I hesitate to say this. I was head of special operations, strategic operations at EPF. Clearly, people cannot save enough for their retirement. The figure that we use, 240,000 they get, oh my God, it's like, can't reach it.
The number, sorry, I just on EPF, I have the Intel now. Account 3 total valuation is actually closer to near zero right now.
I'm not surprised. I'm not
Because,
surprised.
you know, well, anybody can take out the money anytime.
Yeah. To put it in context, EPF money, savings and current account monies.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You mean you're talking about M1, M2, M3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. This is actual savings.
Okay, okay.
And actual demand deposits with bank.
Yeah.
This is only about 240 billion and 1 trillion in EPF.
Yeah.
So this is not enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, it indicates that people taking out EPF money for living purposes.
Yeah.
It's not a transfer.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that because people need to feed their mouths today.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. People, I understand the motivation.
But we are getting grey.
Yeah.
So what happens to people when they can no longer work? We are not talking age here. We are talking physical ability to work. As you get older, you realize that certain things you just cannot do anymore. But what happens to them when there's no money? This is a case of market failure that has to be met by government intervention. So, can the government step up and say, we will provide pensions for everybody who reaches the age of pension, say 60 and above. We only live to about 75, I think. That's the average between men and women in this country.
I read, yeah, the baby born 2024, 75.6, if I remember. The news was out a few
So
weeks ago.
it's around there, yeah. So it's a short-term thing, but a lot of us are getting grey. So the total amount, I've calculated this thing upwards, downwards, sideways, etc. We are talking close to 1 trillion in total for over 15 years. Still,
So defined benefits is something that you want to explore versus defined contribution.
you need to explore, you need to act on it because
EPF just doesn't cut it.
not enough. It does a good job. I mean, I was brought to Chile. Chile is in South America.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And they showed me
Santiago.
their system, very innovative system, in the sense that you keep your money with the government, and depending on how much you can save, they will top it up to a certain level which they believe is enough to keep you in dignity.
Macam matching grant pula.
Macam matching grant. It's not a lot, but it's enough to make sure you don't live on the streets.
Yeah, decent cost of living lah.
Yes, a decent, dignified cost of living.
Yeah.
That's how they called it.
Another area of concern that you'll be looking for?
Another area of concern. Can I say defense spending?
Defense?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard
Okay.
that one yet. But yeah, okay, defense. Tell me
Okay,
more.
they get about 6 billion ringgit a year.
I did not know that, but okay.
Okay. Most of it goes towards maintenance of personnel and bases, etc. But warfare changes. One of the things I do is actually geostrategy, and a lot of it is based on military conflict. Okay. Look at the war in Ukraine. They're using drones. Who would have thought of that? Yeah. They're making their own missiles. Pilots hardly take the skies nowadays. It's just missiles. And 200 landed in Tel Aviv 2 days ago. Do we have bombardment missiles? Do we have anti-aircraft missiles? Do we have enough guns to make sure that Kuala Lumpur, nobody shoots it to pieces? That's the kind of spending that is going to go into hundreds of billions.
It's interesting that you mentioned all three things that are yet to be mentioned by my guests previously. Income tax, holiday, matching, I guess, it's not matching grants, is it? What would you call it? Matching?
Top-ups.
Top-ups, defined benefits, I suppose.
Yes,
and
correct.
then, of course, defense. Do you feel optimistic about the budget?
I'm
or
optimistic.
You're more very worried right now more than ever? Not because of, say, the Madani government, all that. But
No.
are we in trouble, or, if I can put it binarily, is the country heading the right direction or wrong direction? Macam tu.
Is a switch on or off?
Yeah.
We haven't started. Okay. One big thing that I've been fighting with, do you know this organization called AMRO? ASEAN +3 Macroeconomic Research Office. I helped set it up many years ago. This is East Asia's answer to the IMF. So they came here, inaugural meeting with the economists in this country, and the first thing they asked was re-industrialization. We got our industrialization drive all wrong. What happened was, according to Japan, Mitsubishi wanted to set up an offshore plant in Malaysia. We took it, made it proton. Then we thought that was how you industrialize, bring people in. What happened? Intermediate goods came, not end goods. That means that your value add got cut. It's really very small. We need to reindustrialize under tariff protection, which is allowed under infant industry protection regulations under the World Trade Organization rules. We need to protect our businesses, let them grow naturally to the point that they can be regionally significant. We have a lot of experience on this, which goes unnoticed. Banking sector. Look at Maybank, CIMB. Look at RHB.
Right.
Now they are regional.
Sorry, to end this. I see this. And I think protecting business is one end of the story, but of course social justice is also another end. We'll see what is going to be offered by the government for Belanjawan 2025. You can watch the entire program here on Astro AWANI with my colleagues at Niaga AWANI, Harith Ashraf Hasnan, as well as Najib Aruf. That's going to be happening live at 4 p.m. tomorrow. You can also watch many of the side programs, including my own, from the weeks that will come after the budget presentation. But for now, thank you very much, Huzaimi Hamid, the chairman of Ingenium Advisors, having a chat with us. Especially for folks that want to learn more, just head on to astroawan.com and find out more there. And read up on some of his writings. It's quite interesting. In fact, it's as interesting as this. Yes, that book, Formula on Nation Wealth. You can find that at the nearest bookstore that you can get near you. Thank you very much. Catch you in the next one.